guys. All right, so welcome to everybody for being here today. I really appreciate you guys making the time. This will be an hour-long workshop. It'll be interactive too, so please be ready to have conversations out there. Um, my name is Alex. I'm a men's and leadership coach. For those who know what this means, I'm a CPCC. I'm a coactive certified coach, and I'm also an ACC with the ICF. Um, this is part of a little project that I'm doing this year. Every month, I'm kind of diving deep into a specific topic. And for the month of January, I picked the topic of possibility. So I looked into, read a lot of books. I talked to a lot of people, and just, what do people know about possibility? And this workshop is a byproduct of that. Um, as they say, the best way to learn something is to teach it. So that's what I'm here to do today, is to kind of show you guys what I've learned on this journey of the past month around the topic of possibility. For those, I believe everybody here has already been added to me on LinkedIn, so I'm not going to share that. Next month, I will be talking about personal power. I haven't figured out the date yet, but please keep an eye out on LinkedIn because I'll be sharing all the info there. So really quickly, for those of you who can, if you're driving, please do not do this, but if you're not able to, all good. But if you can, check in with yourself inside and what is like your internal weather report? And then just kind of throw that in the chat. I'd love to know where you are right now internally. Just some curiosity, some fogginess, gratefulness, feeling refreshed, healing. What a beautiful place to be under the weather. Yeah. Bit frazzled. That energy is kind of like all over. A little hungry, slightly cloudy with ample amount of fresh drizzle to keep things good. As Jason. They're all fantastic. A little frazzled as well from Kim. Yeah. I will just notice, just notice these different feelings, these different emotions and different weather reports that we have here. So beautiful to have it all here. Everything is welcome. So lovely. So the agenda for today is we're going to talk about three main things that I've learned about possibility. And since a lot of us are coaches and a lot of us come from the coactive world, I know that not everybody did. But I didn't want to repeat some of the stuff that we've already learned as coaches. So you're going to get some new stuff in here, some stuff that CTI doesn't talk about. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the stuff that coactive teaches you, you'll get to learn some three new cool stuff too. There are three new cool things too. So super excited to share all of that. There will be one breakout room. Kind of decided at the last minute to do it because people really enjoyed it last time. And also from last time, people were saying, I'd love more time to connect with people. So use that time to, just get to know people, follow the prompts for what I want you guys to kind of talk about. But know that you're going to get a little bit more time this time than last time. So we're going to kind of design our alliance a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about confidentiality. This will be shared out to the world after this. So just keep that in mind as you are sharing things in the large group. Zoom does not record anything in the breakout room. So if you really want to go deep and personal, that's a really great place to do that. And this right here in this room, it will be shared out. This is a judgment-free zone. So whatever is here is welcome. Please just share it, with that filter of knowing that everything will be shared here. Coming with an open mind and an open heart is going to be crucial. Also, be vulnerable, be a little bit open. Cameras on if you can, and then cameras on silence if possible. Really, I know that people have other stuff going on, but those things tend to help keep people present. Also, participate. right? This is gonna be more of a discussion this time than me just talking. So raise your hand if you are willing to participate and to share your thoughts on the call. Great, love everybody, awesome, great. All right, even Jonathan and even Lydia, hell yeah, their cameras are off, but they're like, I'm still participating. I love that. What do you guys need from me or from this group in order to feel comfortable and jump in?
I
Okay.
think we're good.
I think we're good. Yes. Awesome. Great. And if anything comes up at any point, feel free to just throw it in the chat. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. If I miss it, feel free to just, blurt it out into the space. So what's in the title? I originally wanted to title this Exploring Possibility. And at the last minute, I switched it over to Creating Possibility. Why do you think I did that? And anybody at any moment can just unmute and just blurt out what they think about this. So I went from exploring possibility to creating possibility.
I think it sounds more proactive, engaged, instead of just kind of looking at it. You're actually engaging with it and doing it.
Yeah. Say a little bit more about that, Kim.
I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Maybe I can jump in.
Sure.
I was just gonna say, saying creating possibilities, it feels expansive, like more abundance and possibilities and dreams, and I don't know, rather than, exploring is kind of like, okay, let's just trot on the path.
Yeah. Almost like there's already something there, and all I have to do is go and explore it versus me creating it, right?
Yes.
So kind of what I'm hearing. What's up, Mariana?
Intentional.
Ooh, there's like an intentionality around it, right? Yeah.
Yourself in control.
Yeah, you are in control, right? It's a good one.
That's what I was thinking. Agency. Like there's an element of like I can create this possibility or something else or not this if I like it or whatever, right? It's mine.
It's mine. Jason, you go ahead.
Oh, did I interrupt? I'm sorry, Jason.
No. We said same time. So okay. We have a takeaway. We get to have something to move forward with.
Yeah, taking that agency and then also saying I get to own this and I get to move forward with what I've taken agency around. Right. Yeah. What other thoughts are there around this?
I think this is related to what everyone has said, but there's sometimes with explore, it's like, hey, if it's there, I'll find it. And oh, sometimes it's not there. But when you say create, I love that there's like this type of positive assumption where it's like, hey, even if you don't think it's there to explore, it is there to be created. And I kind of like that frame. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that too, Brian. Thank you for sharing. All right, if that feels like we'll just move on. So I love everything that you guys just said. It is all of that. And it's for me, it's just that sense of growth, right? That kind of this new thing that I get to create on my own and share with the world. So the three things that I'm going to be sharing come from this book, so I'm going to give them full credit. It's called The Art of Possibility by Rosamund Stone Zander and Benjamin Zander. There's multiple things in here that I wish I could talk about all of them. But I figured, we would just through, three really sweet ones, three really beautiful ones, and just kind of stick to those and see what happens. And if you guys want to learn more, definitely get the book, or we can have a one-on-one conversation after this and continue this discussion. So the first practice from this book that I wanted to share with everybody which if you guys are following me on LinkedIn, I created a little article about this. It's giving an A. So when I say giving an A, what comes up for you when you think of giving an A?
Well, I mean, grades in class come up when you say giving an A, because it's like,
Yeah.
A for the, excellent.
Yeah, right. Like there's some sort of grading, some sort of like competition, right? Like you're an A, you're a B, you're a C, right? And we've been, like you said, we bring this from school, so it's something that we've been ingrained from very very early on. Yeah. What else?
Well, I also think of attention for A because, bringing attention and focus to something.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah, I kind of read it as performance. Like you performed a certain way, so you get an A because it excelled.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I say like giving an A in the world of possibility, how are those two related?
I always felt that that there's this element of uh competition in a way. Um in school, like always trying to strive for something, to compete with other people, to compete with yourself, to get like the best grades.
Yeah. Hi, Joe, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah, competition and getting grades. So, what becomes possible when we're constantly grading each other and putting each other into different categories and just saying, well, I like you, so I'm going to put you into this category, and I don't like you, so I'm going to put you into this category? Nothing, right? Go ahead.
I was gonna say there seems to be a lot of judgment.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of judgment around, where you fall and who you are, and all of this. So in this sense, in the sense of possibility and what we're talking about here, in a way, without judgment, giving everyone an A does the opposite of judgment, right? It kind of immediately opens people up to a different kind of possibility. It's not an expectation to live up to, but rather a possibility to live into. It inverts and it recognizes the universal desire to contribute to others, no matter how many barriers there are to the expression of that desire. When you're granting an A, you're more open to other possibilities and you're more likely to listen attentively. And again, it's not from a place of judgment, right? Because when we think of giving grades, we think of it as a judgment, but more as a gift, right? Of just saying, you know what, you're already in. You've already won the job interview. You've got the job. So no need to posture, no need to, be what I think you need to be to or be or have you be what you think you need to be in order to be my friend, right? Um, what else comes up for you guys when we think about giving an A as a gift to other people, and what possibilities may open up when that happens?
Well, okay, so I'm not trying to be contrary here, Alex. It's
Oh, love it. No. Bring it on, Todd. Love this.
okay. But so this seems to be connected to me to assuming good intent. So what's possible if I give everyone an A is harm.
Oh, say more about that, Todd.
Well, so if I let my guard down and everyone gets an A and they're all in just because they are, then I open myself up to harm in a way that I wouldn't if there was an element of judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, maybe that's not a bad thing, but in the realm of possibilities, that's certainly one of the things that becomes possible.
Yeah, hurt is one of the possibilities that could happen when you open yourself up in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Todd. And please don't feel like you're being contrary. Please, this isn't all about being positive. Let's be real here.
Kind of along those
Okay.
same lines, I feel like the judgment aspect of this is also not great. You know, it's like I don't want to. It seems like sometimes there's like this sort of hierarchy, this prize that people can win, and then if you're it just it becomes this kind of gatekeeping sort of thing where you're judging people and then rewarding them based on, I guess, like some arbitrary criteria. Like it could also not it could be also shutting yourself off to possibility in a way. Like if you're too stringent on whatever it is that you're trying to filter for, like that could also be bad. Uh, so I don't know if those are some of my thoughts there.
Yeah, no, Joe, these are wonderful, right? There's definitely possibility for things to go sideways or things to maybe not work out the way we wanted to. Absolutely, right? We do live in a real world, right? And I'd like to also highlight the other end of that, right? While yes, there are these potential negative pitfalls, what are some of the possible good things that may come from doing this exercise?
I think there's a lot of unexpected good things that could happen because you're gifting this A, and you don't know what's going to happen. So actually the uncertainty of both negative and positive, like you could be blown away by the results. You could be unexpectedly overjoyed.
Yeah. So there's that possibility of also being surprised and overjoyed by what you find there. What are some other thoughts?
I was thinking you using the word giving an A as opposed to earning an A. And giving an A, it might inspire some people who wouldn't necessarily have earned an A to earn an A. It might inspire some people to think more about that possibility. I also wonder, though, on the flip side, if there are people that would say, great, I got it. Now I don't have to earn it. So I don't know where you fall on that in terms of this discussion, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they kind of take advantage, or maybe not take advantage, but they take for granted the sense of, I'm in. Yeah. For those coaches out there, it's almost like assuming that everybody is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, right? When we think about the coactive model, right? When we hold our clients as naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, when we show up in the world that way, it's kind of like giving an A, right? Like you're already kind of saying, hey, you don't have to perform for me. You've got it already. And go ahead, Brian. It looks like you wanted to say something.
One of the maybe lovable, but maybe one of the annoying things about me is I always make a dating reference in life. So it's like, imagine showing up to a date. And as you had said, kind of, let's just get out of the way. Now we can be real. Imagine if you sat down to a date and both people say, hey, I already think you're a wonderful person and you're great. And there's no chance that you're not going to live up to anything, whatever expectations that either of us think are here. Now, can we just talk?
Yeah.
And I imagine how freeing it would be just to sit down opposite somebody with that in the air. We both get an A. We both get an A plus if we want. But let's just be real, kind of to use your words. We could just be real here. We don't have to be impressing each other. We've already earned it. Now what can we do? And I imagine that would be a really different first date if people showed up with that in the air. Thanks for putting up with the dating reference.
Yeah,
I really like the dating reference.
right.
You,
Todd,
do we have
yeah.
time for what? Can I, one
Please,
more? Because
please.
Brian, when you were talking, the thing that popped into my head was improv. And it felt like yes anding. It felt like, you know, when you've got that kind of energy, then you've got a collaborative partner. Like there's no chance that you've got an adversary. And what you can create might be weird and crazy and wonderful, or weird and crazy and ridiculous or whatever, but it'll be something. And within that context, you don't really have to evaluate it. You just have to make it.
You don't have to evaluate it. You can just make it. Oh, it's wonderful, Todd. And I don't want to ignore that, yes, you can totally open yourself up to being completely shit on, right? Like, absolutely.
Well, and I think the thing that makes that different is in Brian's example was really good too, and also in improv is what you have is a willing partner. Like you got two people or more people who are willing to give each other A's, right? If all I'm doing is giving you an A and you don't know that that's what I'm doing, or you know, or you don't care that that's what I'm doing, or you don't want to extend the same thing to me, well, then that's a different dynamic, isn't it?
Yes, Todd. I love that you're bringing that distinction of both partners grant each other that sort of grace, right? And that's how these beautiful things can grow, right? I also hold that because, you know, as coaches, we hold a vision for our clients, right? And we help them kind of grow into that. We support them in that journey. And I think if you can hold people a specific way, they will eventually kind of grow into that. Potentially, maybe I'm wrong here. But when you show up in the world a specific way, maybe that's an invitation for other people to show up that way too, in some way. But yes, it's a partnership. Yeah. Any other thoughts around giving an A? It's coming up for anybody else.
I have one. I think to Todd's earlier point about some people may not necessarily deserve the A and kind of going in with that mentality. I definitely have that with some family members and did some coaching before I went home for Thanksgiving and used possibility as kind of how can I go in and connect in a different way and set the baggage down and the history down. And I was shocked. I out of nowhere started talking about Mahjong because I have a group that I've found here in Dallas, and my stepmother oddly got super into it, went online, bought a book, read it thoroughly within a week, found a group, now does it like weekly, is constantly calling me, asking me about it. And I'm like, what in the hell? Like I just went in with a different kind of attitude. And I was really surprised by me showing up and giving the A. I got an A back immediately. And then it makes me wonder, like, how many times is it me showing up negatively and projecting that out? And then someone else is just mirroring it right back to me. It was fascinating. So I definitely have lived this recently, and it worked out really well with the person that I was like, you don't deserve an A.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Kim. And I'm also not saying like tomorrow you should wake up and give everybody like, hey, you know, like let's go crazy here. But maybe there's an invitation here to, like Kim said, maybe somebody that you haven't been giving an A to, maybe try.
Ourselves.
I'm sorry?
Ourselves.
Whoa, yourself. Jason. Whoa, like what would happen if you start with yourself and just give yourself that A? Jason, can you say a little bit more about that? I mean, that was such an explosive thing.
Well, I mean, what Kimberly said is really perfect on point. Like you start giving A's to and granting A's to other people, and then you know you're helping to mirror it for yourself, and you know realize how you're presenting yourself in the world. But also, we always are treating ourselves with the inner dialogue. You know, like why not give ourselves an A? See what happens.
Wahida, I saw a big smile on your face and a big like yes. What's coming up for you?
Yeah, so I mean, just really, I'm inspired listening to this, all of this, and there's a tiny little story, if I may share. And I don't know who the author is, but it was in one of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. So there was a traveler, if I can indulge you, if you guys can indulge me for a couple minutes. There was a traveler going from one city to another, moving, and as this traveler's going, she stops at a diner right before the next town. And so she's talking to the owner and just having a conversation. And she asked, "Oh, so what are the people like in this new town?" And she says, "Where I came from was a little bit, I'm just moving to another town." So the owner of the diner asked, "Well, what were the people like in your old town?" And she goes on and says, "They were wonderful, amazing, loving, friendly group of people." So then the owner of the diner responds to the woman and says, "Well, you're in luck because you're going to find exactly that kind of people in this upcoming town." So then a few days pass, and there's another traveler also moving from that same city to a different one. And same type of conversation, stops at the diner and asks, "Hey, so do you know anything about this town I'm going to? What are the people like?" And then again, the owner of the diner asks, "Well, what were the people like in your old town?" And he says, "They were terrible, horrible people. I couldn't make any friends. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't like anybody." And she says, "Oh, well, I'm really sorry to say you're out of luck because that's exactly what you're going to find in the next town." So the moral of the story, which I thought was so beautiful, is what are we seeing? What are we projecting? Who are we being? And how is that coming back to what type of relationships we build? So that's probably one of my favorite stories.
I love that, Wahida.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm smiling ear to ear.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Oh yeah, Trey, please.
Sure, I'll say something just as well. And it's interesting, Alex, because when this first started, I felt a little resistance to this topic. It reminded me almost of being a teacher and like, being back in the 80s. It was like, there was winners and there was losers. And I think that kind of like gave strength to, for us growing up. And now it's kind of like everyone's a winner. And it's like, really? So I kind of felt a little resistance to this topic at first, but you've all inspired me. And it reminded me last night, I was at Toastmasters, public speaking class, and someone was speaking, and it was interesting because this person has a really great voice and is a very strong speaker, yet the overall appearance of this person, it doesn't really match. It almost looks like this person may be living on the streets. And so it's interesting. I had to sit there and think, like, what if this person was wearing a tuxedo? I would be viewing this individual so differently, just in the way this person looked. And it reminded me like this, that sometimes I think at least I can judge people so quickly just on outer appearance. And so it's almost like giving everyone an A. It's like, what if we all like looked our absolute best? It's, I think, easier to just see exactly who people are. And it reminded me of the quote by Ram Dass of treat everyone you meet as if they're God in drag. And I really think sometimes it's true, like give everyone an A and give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and how they're showing up is exactly how they're supposed to show up. And if you can really hear the message, sometimes people's appearances can kind of jade us a little bit. So
yeah, how powerful to not let appearances get in the way of getting to know somebody or giving them the opportunity to speak up and have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Trey.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to move on to the next one, which is rule number 6. And according to this book, there are no rules 1 through 5. It's just rule number 6, which I found really interesting. But what it means is to lighten up a little bit, to have a little bit of humor and laughter as a best way to get over yourself. Humor can bring people together. What's that? Was there a little laughter there, Trey?
Oh, I just saw the chat that made me laugh. Like the numbers, it's like that's confusing.
Yeah, so humor can bring us together after some confusion or maybe a miscommunication, or in ways that we find ourselves acting a little bit entitled or demanding. How does that resonate for you guys? And Todd, I saw you kind of like, oh yeah, what resonated for you there? I believe you're on mute, by the way.
Demanding. It's I have a it's interesting. I just met all of you. I have an interesting relationship with selfishness. And so demanding tends to sometimes be a bit of an activation word. Would you mind reading that to me one more time?
Yeah. Humor can bring us together around confusions, miscommunications, and over the ways in we find ourselves acting entitled and demanding.
Mm. Yeah, I really want to like it.
Let me ask you this, Todd. What's the relationship between humor and that sense of being demanding?
Well, so what immediately comes up for me is that the great thing about humor is that it changes the energy, right? Like humor will change the energy in a room or in a conversation or whatever, right? Being demanding can also change the energy, but potentially in a very different way. Um, hmm. Yeah, there's something about that. Like I think that in both cases there's an element of intentionally switching tracks. But you never know where it's going to go, do you?
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think maybe Todd, if I may just kind of jump in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's the beauty of possibility, right? Is you don't
Hmm.
know where it's going to go. That's part of like what you're signing up for with possibility.
Hmm.
It could absolutely take the wrong
Hmm.
turn, right? And it could take the right turn too, right? And so this is just the idea of opening up yourself to possibilities, the good ones, the
Hmm.
bad ones, everything in between.
Hmm.
And what I'm also kind of saying here is not fearing the bad ones,
Right.
right?
Yes.
I love
Go for it, Mariana.
I love responding with humor when I can, when I collect myself to difficult or tricky situations, and sometimes I even Google or ask ChatGPT how to what's the lighthearted answer or the humorous answer to this or that. Like yesterday, my husband and my kids were in a text fight, and we were just like fighting in a text. And I was getting all those pings. So then I, looked it up, and it changes the energy a lot of the time.
Yeah, bringing the humor into that fight in the text message, kind of, what did that do when you brought humor into that situation?
It just everybody laughed, and it changed the direction of kind of things being like escalating to just like, okay, um, let's just laugh about it and go out, get on with our day.
Yeah. What kind of energy would you say kind of opened up with the humor?
A different possibility. Like instead of escalation, it went the other way, or blaming others, or it was just the opposite possibility of escalation.
Yeah. Awesome. And again, I kind of want to highlight, if it does go into escalation, that is a possibility, right? It can happen, right? And so all you're doing here is just opening up possibilities. Any other thoughts around humor and kind of lightening things up a little bit around that and the idea of possibility? Miriam, I'm going to pick on you because you're a very happy person. And I feel like humor is something that comes so naturally to you. I may be completely wrong, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
So it's funny, humor doesn't actually come natural to me. And often in my work life, people will say I'm too serious. So it's nice that you see me as happy and humorous. And so often I will remind myself to lighten things up. That is often a personal reminder I have. I don't really think about it in terms of doing it as a possibility generator, but I know as Mariana said, like it has a nice way of de-escalating things if you can access it. But it's not my, but it's a harder one for me to usually access.
You fooled me. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Any other thoughts around this before we move on to the third and final one? Yeah, Dave.
I was thinking humor can be tricky too because depending on the situation, it can totally bomb.
Yeah.
It can be inappropriate. I've definitely used humor at times where other people didn't appreciate it. But when it is used well, it is certainly better than saying, "Hey, lighten up," or any number of things like that that you should not ever say because they always have the opposite effect. Um, but yeah, I do think that it is a great approach in a lot of situations. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. It is definitely a sense of possibility there. Juan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so regarding to humor, I was reading an article the other day on elevator pitches, on what's a good way to do it, how to be engaging, different. And one of the tips that this person was saying in the article was adding some humor into your 30-second commercial, 20-second, whatever it's be when you introduce yourself to people or groups, and add a little bit of humor, even if it's something that is maybe not talking as good about yourself as everyone does when they introduce themselves. Adding some humor or anything, it relieves the pressure from the group, from the person that you're meeting, makes them laugh, and it's more engaging in a conversation besides a regular, this is what I do and this is my list, so do you want it or not?
Yeah.
I heard it and it's pretty cool. I actually took some notes, and I haven't applied it yet, but I'll try. But it comes in hand with the conversation.
I love that, Juan. The idea of humor in an elevator pitch, or even just in a conversation, what it opens up is potentially a partnership, or maybe somebody, through humor feels more connected to you. And like Dave was saying, maybe you use it in the wrong time and it does the complete opposite, where all of a sudden, you know, we've taken the wrong turn here and it wasn't used correctly. So yeah, thank you, Juan, and thank you, Dave, for sharing those. So the third thing I wanted to share with you guys, according to this book, and what they call lighting a spark. I think this goes for a lot of us in this space. But imagine that people are an invitation for enrollment. And what I mean by enrollment is the art and the practice of generating a spark of possibility in others. What comes up for you guys when I say that? I'll repeat it. Lighting a spark. Imagine that people are an invitation for enrollment, enrollment being the art and practice of generating a spark of possibilities of others or in others.
Well, you can't get your car going without a spark plug. So you
Hey.
generate a spark.
So how does that metaphor relate to, just the idea of possibility?
Well, you want to, wherever you plan to go, or whatever you plan to have a relationship with someone, you do need to be generating those sparks. Like there has to be some kind of life there. You have to give some kind of generative force of life, a possibility. Otherwise, why are the two people or peoples in proximity? Like it's just, otherwise there's just stillness. You have to have a little spark.
Little spark. Like the car metaphor. I love that. So,
Yeah.
yep, go for it,
Oh no,
Jonathan.
I would say piggybacking on that, it's the idea of creation and the idea of inspiration, like being open or putting out there that little bit of generation inspire and create that in other people, almost like a domino effect.
Yeah, domino effect. I like that. Yeah, so when you imagine that everybody is an invitation for enrollment, everybody is an invitation to kind of start something, right? Start the car with a little bit of a spark, a little bit of magic. Every person that you meet is a possibility. You stand ready to participate, just waiting to be moved and inspired by the other person. You can then offer what lights you up as a person. And then have no doubt that others are eager to catch that spark, right? And so I think a lot of when we as coaches or just as people as we show up in the world, right, when we try to enroll new clients, this is exactly what we're trying to do is we're trying to light up a spark in a potential client that will then say, hey, there's something here that I want to work with you on, right? So that sense of lighting a spark and just giving yourself to that and open yourself up to the opportunity. Jonathan, no, I am not.
Using humor.
So as I'm saying these things, what's coming up for you guys?
I mean, it doesn't even have to be intentional. I mean, this happens to me a lot where I'm just thinking about something walking on the street, and maybe something makes me smile. And then I notice a person walking opposite me thought that I was smiling at them. And what was before just a regular face or a non-smiling face smiles, and then I smile back. And it's kind of like we don't, sometimes the kindling is there, to use your metaphor, and like all it takes is like even an inadvertent spark, like they thought I was smiling at them and they lightened up and they brightened up. And maybe they'll smile at the next person because I think someone just said like the domino effect. And it's like we don't like, sometimes just even an inadvertent spark when you didn't mean to could just light up so much that we don't even know about. And we don't have to know about, but there's that possibility there every time you smile, even just smile at someone and don't even say anything. That could be gold for someone's day.
Yeah, it can be like a really profound thing for them that then butterfly effect, right? That just kind of goes out into the world. Even when it's by accident.
Right. And then I would say, Alex, just that, the more authentically we can live, the more authentically we can allow others to live. By just sharing our truths and being vulnerable, it allows others to be the same. And sometimes you just don't even know what you're representing. And I'll see someone, they may not even see me, and it's like, wow, that person's representing so much just by maybe living their truth and just by them walking down the street. It's just, you can inspire someone just by existing in the world.
Just by being here.
To
inspire others. Lydia, I would love to hear. Yeah, go for it.
Perfect timing. Thanks everyone for sharing. I've been busily jotting everything down. And I think kind of like an overarching thread for the 3 topics that we've discussed so far is really kind of what energy, positive energy you put out is going to be what you attract. So giving everyone an A, benefit of the doubt. If I just have that sort of positive expectation of others, I'll likely get a positive return. Same with humor, right? I'm trying to project lightheartedness and connection in the hopes that it's going to be a positive interaction, as well as lighting a spark, right? So I want to put out authenticity. I want to put out the possibility for, lightheartedness and being open to opportunity. So I feel like all of that is kind of just what am I what kind of openness or what kind of possibilities am I trying to attract? And how do I do that? And I'm thinking by really, yeah, putting out the same sort of energy out there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like the energy that you put out there is the energy you're going to get back.
Yeah, yeah. I would use a dating reference, but I'll leave that to Brian.
Awesome. So we're running a little bit short on time. So what I'm going to do is I really want to give you guys a breakout room because you guys loved it last time. And again, please know that anything is welcome, right? Like all of it. And so the good, the bad, whatever you want to classify it, please just share it. Love to bring your voice into this space. I'm going to put you guys in some breakout rooms. Feel free to discuss this, kind of what came up for you. It's going to be about 3 to 4 people. You're going to have about 5 minutes, which I know is not a lot of time. So apologies for that. Try to skip the introductions and just kind of dive right into, hey, this is what really kind of spoke to me, or none of this really spoke to me. And then see if you want to pick one to really make real in your life. And talk about that, how you might want to do that. I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes. It's not a lot of time. You guys have to keep time for yourself because I'm not going to tell you when to switch people. So somebody out there, keep an eye on the timer. And see you guys in a little bit. Sorry, I needed to figure this out beforehand. Off you go. I know that wasn't a lot of time, so sorry. But the group conversation was so good that I just wanted to keep that going. So apologies for not giving you enough time to be in the breakout rooms. Who would like to share one thing? We just have a few minutes, so just really kind of bottom line, one thing that they're going to do to honor one of these or some version of one of these.
Giving everyone an A.
And Trey, how is that going to show up for you?
Just to really see people more clearly, give everyone, just like what someone said, the benefit of the doubt, give everyone like a chance for enrollment and connection and opportunity to collaborate and connect and go deeper together.
Love it. Todd, it seemed like you also had something you wanted to share.
Well, yeah, what came up in our group was that a lot of these things are about self, aren't they? It's not about other people. So like giving a spark is a good example, right? We talked about trying to live as if you're going to provide sparks to other people would be exhausting. But it's not about that at all, is it? It's about, sort of living authentically myself and doing what's important to me and being real for myself. And if someone else is inspired by that, that's fantastic. And if someone else isn't inspired by that, then who cares? That's for them. Right?
Oh, God, I'm getting goosebumps just as you're talking about this, because it really does feel like that's the way to go, right? Is to share these with yourself. Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for being here today. I am going to be doing a personal power, talking about that on February 16th at the same time. We'd love to see you there. If you follow, I think everybody here follows me on LinkedIn, so I'm going to be posting it on there.
Awesome.
One last thing before I let you guys go, I would love to hear your feedback. I'll be doing these a few more times, so I'm just kind of throwing in the chat a little link in there. Would love to hear your feedback. Before I shut this down, click on that link so that it opens up in your browser, and then I can shut this down and you won't lose that link. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for everybody for participating and for bringing everybody's voice into this environment, into this space. And thank you for also feeling safe enough to do that. So really, really, really appreciate all of you guys. I hope you guys got something out of this. Trace is sharing his LinkedIn profile. Feel free to also connect with other people, throw your LinkedIn profile in there, share contact information, and create more community out there. That's part of what this is all about. So thank you. I'm going to stick around if anybody else wants to talk after this. I'm going to stop the recording.